right, welcome to another podcast of At Witt's End. I'm Ken. That's Carson on the other screen, or the other voice if you're just listening. Um,
Hello.
we're 6,000 miles apart, 9-hour difference. I consider this the number one Austro-American podcast, mainly because I think it's the only one. But so I'm not making any claims other than I'm guessing.
The number one Austrian to Northern California podcast for sure.
Northern California. All right. So today, different topics, but it is college football season started. We'll get into that in a minute. But we did a little segment early on when we started the podcast of new cool things and even some videos. We haven't done it in a while, but I was at a foodie type event and a guy handed me a sample of what's called rocket apples. I've already eaten one. I know I see your face. What do you think? It looks like it's a crab apple.
It's spelled Rockit for those who can't see it.
Yeah.
It's got a Pokemon typed animation on the logo.
It's an apple.
It's an apple, but it's like
comes
animated.
in a plastic tube. There's only two, and I think they also have a little 4-pack meant for like vending machines and takeaways, airports, C-stores. But here's the unique thing. When do you think this thing was harvested? We are in September right now.
June.
The apple comes from New Zealand. It was harvested in February, I was told. So sounds kind of weird, right? So I'm going to open this up, and I opened it and already had one. And I looked at it, I go, what's the big deal? It's a crab apple. Looks like a big cherry. Can you hear me crunching?
Yeah, it's not very appealing.
All right. Very sweet, very delicious. But I'm amazed that it was actually harvested in February in New Zealand, shipped to the U.S., and I'm eating it now in September, and it is delicious. So great product. We're not getting paid for it. Just thought I'd bring that out. A little agricultural.
Not very farm to fork of you in the farm to fork capital.
Well, we're not an apple capital, but I did look at the website.
Not far from.
Yeah. On the West Coast, it's Washington apples are the big deal, right? And the company's actually got a subsidiary owned by a company in Washington apples. So I guess they're importing them. I don't know if they package them in New Zealand. But, hey, if you're a little kid or if you're not really hungry on a car trip or something, little crabs.
You want to lose a tooth?
Hmm?
You want to lose a tooth in that apple?
No, you're not going to lose. They say you can eat the whole thing, the core too, but I wouldn't do it. So that's my little cool thing.
There's not much left after the core. It's so small.
Yeah, one more bite. I'm done.
He's done. It's 3 bites and there's nothing left. So it's not a ton of. Does it give like a calorie count or anything?
No, I don't know. That's an apple, man. It's good for you.
Energy is there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if one apple is good for the doctors, and you need like 4 of those to keep the doctor away.
It's convenient. Thank you. You grabbing this at the airport for a plane, like coming from California to Vienna, be a great little item. Something fresh, tastes good. So, I guess in a way I'm endorsing it. It's a nice little product. So that's it.
Anyway.
That's my cool thing for the week. So kind of I will say it's a big week for you. For those of you that don't know, Carson was looking for an apartment and finally found one. And
so different experience.
Yeah, we'll talk about that real quick, but I think it's good for Americans who are moving to Austria, those that are already there, maybe students who are graduating, getting a job and staying there. So it was difficult finding an apartment. You got a good place. You're going to have a bigger,
lots of wasted space.
Not wasted. You're going to have a studio now to do the podcast at, possibly.
No.
You're going to have the room for some of your other things. And you're going to be in downtown Linz near Marion Dome. So it's a nice apartment, but some of the odd things that Carson discovered, kitchens aren't automatically included.
Yeah, well, let's
And
go. Let's
wait,
go through
and
the. Wait, no, no,
lighting.
no, 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 no,
So
no.
go
Oh,
ahead.
you're ruining it. You're ruining
Okay,
it.
go ahead. You
You
take
should.
over now.
No, no. I'm saying you have to go through and list and discuss each one. You're a terrible podcaster. Come on,
You're right. I admit that.
come on. You have to like start it out. You can't just give all the good content away immediately. Like
All right.
you're a terrible influencer.
I'm an old
You're,
guy who knows
you
about
wouldn't. You
content.
wouldn't be a good
Content means something,
TikToker. You wouldn't be a
and I'm
good
not.
TikToker because
You're right.
you have to leave all the good content for the next TikTok video, so they have to go to your profile and find the video.
Hence, I am not a TikToker.
Anyway, so yeah, so apartment searching, yeah. So the first thing you have to know is, and this was actually the way it was told to me by a real estate agent. Austria is behind the times in how apartments are done, like behind how America does it and other European countries because of these things. That was his saying, not mine. I agree with it, but uh, anyways, that was coming from an Austrian real estate agent. Kitchens, yeah, number one, kitchens are not non-standard um, equipment, which as an American, it's flabbergasting.
Well,
Um,
and the
and
definition of a kitchen.
yeah, well, the way a kitchen in America is versus like a kitchen in an apartment here, like a kitchen is a removable item here. A kitchen in
Cabinets.
America is just it's a built-in piece of like it just stays for years and years. It's a full remodel to remove one, whereas here it's just like another appliance. Now I'm talking the whole kitchen, not just the appliances in the kitchen.
Yeah, that's what I want people to know. It's not the refrigerator and microwave. It's the actual cabinets. Hence, why I think IKEA is so popular, and kitchens are and cabinets with IKEA are so popular. And another thing to remember is that most of Europe and well, Austria, you don't have your neighbor doesn't have a pickup, or you don't have a pickup. So one thing I really don't understand is when you buy that kitchen, I guess it has to be delivered by IKEA. So you got the charge, the delivery charge on top of that, or you're searching for somebody that has a small utility van or something. I
Well,
don't know.
a company to move it and install it.
So
Yeah,
it's a whole industry to come and move it and install
yeah,
it.
I would assume, but yeah, that's a yeah, that's yeah, it's just very different thing. And then the next one you mentioned, you already stole the thunder of it. Lighting. You stole the you stole the brightness out of it. The lights are again non-standard items apartments, and I don't mean lamps that sit on the floor or table. I mean ceiling lights are
and I,
non-standard.
and he means the fixture, not the light bulb. He means the actual fixture the light bulb fits into. So
they
some of the apartments Carson looked at and sent pictures and videos back. You walk in and you see in the kitchen just pipes sticking out of a wall, and then you look up and you see a wire sticking out of the ceiling.
yeah. It's just, yeah, it's a crazy again, just such a it, it's like yeah, it's such a weird thing, and I'm pretty sure the one I'm moving into, the people before me just never got lighting installed. They never put lights up. They had a couple like just wired in like bulb holders, so it had a
The
bulb.
socket
Yeah, it had
hanging on
just
a
a
wire,
socket on a wire, but they didn't have fixtures, and I'm just like, what?
which is amazing when you consider that, like for automobiles, you have to have a safety check there. But you have an apartment with a wire sticking, a nice modern apartment in a nice area of town with a wire sticking out of the
Yeah,
ceiling with a socket on it and just a light bulb screwed into it.
yeah, it's
Is everything
yeah, it's
in the kitchen electronic electricity, or is there gas stoves?
it varies. It
Okay.
depends sometimes, but yeah, mostly. What other stuff is weird? So this is I've mentioned this to you before, but I didn't see this as much, but it's something that's at my work. Um, the toilets. So it's not the toilets you're thinking of. So American and European toilets are different. American toilets are usually bigger. You have the oval shaped versus the smaller round ones.
Oh wait, let me
Um,
guess.
but but I'm speaking specifically of the
Plumbing built into the wall.
no. That
Oh,
is different. That is different.
okay.
I wasn't gonna mention that, but yes, plumbing and toilets are typically built into the wall, and
Yeah,
you
the bowl basically hangs on the wall, and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
everything is inside the wall.
Not a big deal. It doesn't really.
It
It's
is
actually
if
kind of
something happens, then
nice.
you have to get into the wall.
Yeah, but
So
yeah, it's
okay,
actually less space used
well,
up,
yeah,
so it's actually not bad. But no, what I was gonna mention, because there's some of these at work, um, the poop shelf toilets. You know what I'm talking about?
no,
The toilets where the hole that goes down is in the front of the toilet, and
oh,
at the back there's like a shelf,
oh yeah,
basically.
yeah, yeah. Where you're this is kind of maybe this
I'm
podcast
trying
might
to
attract to
explain
12 year
it.
olds. Basically, your excrement sits on the porcelain shelf, and the water
There's like
pushes it down.
there's a flat part,
Waterfall. Yeah.
but there's a
Now that you
flat
mention,
part, and until you flush it, it doesn't go. And the hole to drain it is at the very front of the toilet. And yeah,
God, I can't believe we're
it's
discussing. But once you said
it's
that, I have gone. What a stupid design, and maybe there's a
absolutely
purpose to it.
well. So first of all, it's a deal breaker for me. I would not get a place with that toilet. I just refuse because it's everyone. They're horrible. If yeah,
Have you talked
you
to
can
anybody
understand.
there, like maybe guys on the team or something, when you're
No, but
work?
there was a discussion on this in a Facebook group we're a part of, about what the purpose of it, and I always thought it was for this, but um, I think the purpose was like they're an older type of toilet for you to inspect when food product wasn't as good, and
Oh,
so you
that's
would have to
disgusting.
yeah,
Look,
yeah, when the food like the FDA in America didn't exist, like back when food was
stool
questionable.
samples, stool
Yeah,
samples,
yes.
tapeworms, and
That's
just
that's a theory of why it
God.
exists.
Oh,
But
I would
anyway,
assume it's a global thing where, like, little boys are fascinated with poop, so uh, you know they're going to be proud of what they live. That's
it's
disgusting.
absolute deal breaking an apartment search for me. I would never look for an apartment with that. And in modern ones, like in renovated apartments, they don't exist. It's in older apartments where they sometimes happen, and like there are some at my work. And yeah, just absolute L invention,
Well,
terrible.
since we're talking about toilets, what about you've seen the states, like those vacuum pressurized toilets?
Yeah, like on trains or airplanes.
Is that in Europe? Do
Yeah,
they
on
have it at home?
trains.
Yeah, well, a lot of hotels have them, especially high rises.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I've seen them in
Uh,
like that, but they are in trains and everything. Um,
well,
but
hopefully, we
let's
picked
see.
up some subscribers and listeners that are into plumbing and
So,
poop. So,
it's just
okay.
it's just a little thing. Other things that are interesting when you're looking at apartments are like windows. Um, obviously that's a common one that people talk about. It's different, especially in Germany and Austria. Are the windows? Most windows here are tilt and open, so
Hmm.
they have multi like different ways to open them. The one at my current place that I'm in right now is also a door,
Door. Yeah.
um, but the windows are much more complex here, and they also have storm shutters on a lot of windows. So my new apartment has one window with a storm shutter because it's at a 45-degree angle, I assume. So you
Oh,
can
that's that
complete
angled window.
yeah, so you can completely close it. It's automated, and it is blacks out the window, and it's a metal storm shutter. The owner of the apartment, when she showed it to me, um, was very confused about it. She didn't like it a lot because it's a Velux automated window, so it has like a touchpad
Uh,
to control it.
Disclosure: Carson's brother worked for Velux for a while,
Yes,
and Velux is
I
the number
mentioned
one skylight company in the world.
they make complex windows and
Yeah,
high
very
quality
complex.
windows. But yeah, this is a complex Velux window with a automatic with like a touch panel.
But in
Opens and
general,
closes the window and window shutter.
in
Um,
general, do you like the multi-opening windows? I think I
yeah,
do,
yeah,
but I haven't really lived long term with one.
yeah. It's I mean it's just it's more options. It is annoying because you have to like sometimes I take up more space than like an American window that just slides when you open it
That's not
and
the
like
complaint I thought you would have.
oh that's the one I have like they just take up extra space like a door would.
Well, here's what I thought your comment would be: the multi. opening windows, you can't have a screen, so you have insects
Yeah,
coming in and biting
yeah.
you if you're leaving your window open at night.
So getting back to where we are after my computer crashed. Um, Windows. You're talking about, yeah, bugs, no screens. Yeah, it's not common to have a screen. Actually, now that you mention, I rarely like see very few of them. But that's, I think, because of the like tilt functionality or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I assumed.
Um, but yeah, it's not common. So there's not a ton of bugs here. Like I think there's
Yeah,
less
it's not
here
like
than where
the
you are,
swamps of
but
Louisiana. Actually, I don't think there's many here. I mean, I don't like screens on
it's
our windows, so.
it's yeah, it is quite annoying because yeah, I do have a significant amount of bug bites on me. But I think that's more because sitting on a balcony or football practice. But anyway,
Yeah,
I think though some of the other things that are a little bit interesting about apartment hunting, deposits.
yeah.
So the deposits are quite significant. It used to actually be worse. So up until July of this year, you as a person renting an apartment, you had to pay a commission to the real estate agent.
Which is crazy.
Um, yeah, they could have been outlandish. I don't really know because I wasn't searching back then, but I've heard that some of them were quite outlandish to the point where people didn't get the apartment because the commission was so expensive. Um,
I mean, it
and I'm
was like here in
talking,
the States, the commission on selling and buying a home.
yeah, I'm talking multi-$1,000 for just
Yes.
renting an apartment. And deposits are also very expensive. So I think deposits, security deposits, there are typically like 1 month rent or so.
Here
That's what
or
I've,
there?
yeah, that's what I did. That's there.
I,
That's what I've experienced in the past. Sometimes there may be a couple months
well, yeah,
or
I think,
first because
I
first
think,
and last month's
yes, first and
rent.
last, I think is most common, and a cleaning deposit, depending on, yes.
Yeah, yeah, it varied, but they typically weren't a ton, if I remember right.
Well,
But here they are 3 months rent minimum, is the standard. It's 3 months is the basic, and then there's more if the owner wants to get more, or if there's like furniture included. But yeah, three
which
months of
you
rent.
did get furniture included, and I will say this was not your first choice. I think it's a pretty good choice. One of the negatives is you don't have a patio balcony, but you are
Yeah,
on
a
a
little
nice
bummer,
street.
but
It's a bigger place, comes furnished, so you don't have to trek out to IKEA and buy a lot of new furniture. Um, Centrally located, but yeah, I'm actually surprised because Austria somewhat. You would think it policy favors the renter, but on some of these things, it's
and
obviously
nowadays, now it does.
now.
In the past, it didn't, absolutely not. It was horrible for renters,
But in
in my
general, the
opinion.
actual rent was lower. It's just getting in and all the
Yeah,
things
yeah.
surrounding it.
Rent is by far lower. It gets raised a little bit, and it's definitely lower. Just cost of living in general is lower, but you also have to pay VAT tax on rent and um on HOA. What is essentially HOA fees,
Yeah,
but like building fees, you have to pay VAT tax on that too. It's less than normal VAT tax, so it's normal VAT tax is 20%. It's 10%,
yeah.
but it's still, when you're talking a few $100s, it's still a significant amount.
And I will say
And
for Vienna and Linz is the second largest city in Austria, right, or third?
city wise, it's the third. Yeah, the
So I
Graz
mean,
is the
Linz
second.
is a very uh, university town, but a working town. A lot of major companies there,
Manufacturing. Yeah,
manufacturing. So it's on the
it's
Donau
the
or
number
on the
one.
Danube,
It's the biggest manufacturing center in Austria.
which I
It's where the
thought was.
majority of
I
manufacturing
used to think
is.
it was Graz, but so Vienna is the cultural and also the capital. But
Capital, yeah,
the rents are
business.
fairly reasonable, much lower than a major U.S. city.
Well, I mean, guess what the most expensive city to live in Vienna is, or in Austria is.
Um, Something near the Swiss border. I don't know.
No.
Graz.
Um, no, you would think, I mean, you would think it'd be Vienna, but
I would
it
think,
is
but I
Salzburg.
can't. Well,
Salzburg.
okay, actually, that makes sense. I forgot about
Yeah.
Salzburg or
Salzburg's a
Innsbruck.
smaller. No, not in Witt, but Salzburg is def by far. Vienna's number two, but Salzburg it's more touristy, but it's also smaller.
And a
It's
very
not
historic
as big
town.
as a
Yeah,
place. Yeah,
it's also the place
definitely not as big.
many Americans. I went to Austria. Where'd you go? Salzburg, and they never went
Yeah,
anywhere
it's
else.
where most. Yeah, it's. I mean, there's direct flights from like Manchester,
Yeah,
England, to Salzburg for like 20 euros. So
yeah.
it's a common tourist place.
So, any
But yeah,
advice
it's
for Americans or foreigners coming in?
yeah. There's something I didn't understand and I still don't really know, but there's at least in Linz, there's like groups, real estate groups that have like subsidized or not subsidized, but
Oh yeah, I forgot about
um
that.
that's a whole different thing. I'm talking to something else. What
Oh,
you're thinking of, but there's this like um, I think here in Linz it's like the WAG or um the something like that where they're like some special real estate group and they work with the government or something. So there's stuff to like look into. But you like get into and you register with them and I
hmm.
don't know all the details. One of the football players mentioned it to me and I'd seen it mentioned everywhere, but I didn't do it. I searched on Vilhaben and some of the other like just general marketplace websites, which Vilhaben is fantastic.
They're
And
Craigslist basically.
yeah, much
Real
better
place, yeah.
Craigslist.
Um,
Austrian, yeah.
but you had found a couple of great spots in an older building downtown, right on the hot plots. But there were restrictions on that, and that's what I was thinking. But there's so
Yeah,
this is
because
different,
those they were using Upper Austrian government funds as subsidies to renovate the building,
and they have to
and
rent.
so they have to rent to either citizens or long-term residents, so 5 plus years.
See,
So
you immigrants, I tell you,
yeah, immigrants destroying the country.
yeah,
That's what I am. Yep.
non-speaking. So
Yeah.
well, good.
Brexit and America first and Austria
But
first.
you got so you got a place. I think you'll be happy with it.
Yeah,
No,
we'll
no,
see.
no deck, but I think
And
great
the
area
other
to
thing
walk around.
too is rental terms are a lot longer at
Oh,
the time. So like I think mine's a 4 year term. Um there's some that are infinite, like they don't have an end term, an
but you
end
can
date.
get out within
But
3 months.
yeah, so you can. So these are some of the renters' protections. After 12 months, you can give 3 months' notice to leave the apartment. So, like, the earliest you can get out is at the end of the 15th month, basically.
So friends and
Um,
family, Carson is not coming back to the states for 15 months, is what you're saying.
yeah, I don't know if there's other ways to get out, but there is like yeah, you can give just straight 3 months notice in Austria, which is different than the U.S. I don't think in the U.S. you can do that.
Yeah,
I didn't see that, but yeah, like rental contracts tend to be like 4 or 5 years long, and then you could give like 3 months notice for a
I
normal
assume all
place.
the paperwork's in German,
Oh yeah, yeah,
so you had to
but
translate
that's
it.
all right. I can deal
Um,
with it.
yeah. Anything else before I make
I
one
don't think
comment?
so. Yeah, it's just you have to apply. So you have to submit. What is a Mietenbot, which is like a rental offer, and it's a binding rental offer. So, I did this. I went through four of them. Um, it's similar to like buying a house in the U.S., but you doing it. Um, but you submit it to the property management, and they give it to the owner,
Ownership.
and they approve you to. If the owner is okay with you renting it, and if there's multiple, it's a competition. And yeah, I lost three of them and got the fourth.
Yeah,
So
so he's kind of
it was
bummed
a
because the other ones were in a high rise with a deck and a view, but
yeah.
I think you'll be
But
happy.
anyway,
My last comment to those folks looking for rentals in Austria, the thing that you may find surprising is the leasing agents or rental agents, real estate agents, don't really seem motivated. And I assume because of the law change where they're not getting the huge commission they used to get. So, here in the States, you look for a place and you can pretty much get into it right away and tour it or see it. I think most of the years were, how's next Monday, or 2 weeks from
3 weeks.
today during
Yeah.
certain hours, I could be there. And then I think when you showed up, a lot of times they were like not very helpful or didn't want to be there. It was like a burden to show the place is what it came down to.
Yeah, it almost felt like it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, good. Also going on in Linz this week, there are two major events. You've been there before, so it wasn't a big deal. But for tourists ever, Linz, I wouldn't say is on the tourist stop for many Americans, but if you're taking like one of the river cruises, it is. And this week you happen to
Yeah.
have what a Klangenboka
Clown
and the
Clown Vodka.
Klangenboka, which is sound cloud,
Cloud
cloud sound.
the cloud of sound.
And then
Yeah.
you also had Ars Electronica, which usually this is the first time, at least since in a while, that it happened the same week, which is surprising. Uh, and I'll let you describe it since I
Yeah,
always
so
get it wrong, the two.
yeah, the clown Vodka, it's yeah, translates to the cloud of sound. And it's extra unique. So they call it the largest European um multimedia opera show because it's basically a opera musical Cirque du Soleil act. It's very long and it tells a story and it's and yeah, last year was like a religious story. This one year was called Odyssey and it was like to new worlds and it's about like discovery and stuff. Um and but that's all unique. It's like multi hours. What's extra unique and quite extra by them. It takes place on the Donau on three barges that are
The Danube
synchronized.
for
The
those Americans,
Danube.
yeah.
Yeah, so they have three barges that they set this all up on, and they are synchronized. They have lights on the other side of the river that are synchronized.
Yeah.
They have fireworks. They have drone show. Um, Everything is synchronized, and it's yeah, three barges with tugboats pushing them around in the river, like in like a circular motion,
So kind of like you
and
said, Cirque du
it's
Soleil on a river. Is it free?
and it's completely free.
So you can
Yeah.
just show up, walk across a bridge, and see a fantastic show. And the pictures you've sent of just the lights in general over during
Yeah, it
that
lights
time
up
are
the
pretty.
whole city, lights up the whole river. It's pretty crazy. They said 100,000 people were along the riverfront. It was packed with people. It was kind of crazy to walk around.
I forgot to ask you
Um,
though, even last year. So like the Viking or the river cruises, are they still coming into
they,
port during that time?
yeah, they were docked. They can't move, but they were docked on the
Well,
river
yeah, I wouldn't
there.
want to. I would want to, if I ever have the money or am fortunate to get a river cruise, or my son buys
Yep.
me one, or his parents, and stopping in Linz, I would want to do it at that time. I think that'd be a great
It
experience.
was kind of funny. They were somewhat blocked because there were two smaller riverboats that were like dinner cruises, like
Oh,
long
yeah.
distance dinner cruises that were kind of blocking the show area, and those dinner cruises were packed.
Oh,
One of them is super cool actually. If you didn't know, Swarovski is a Austrian crystal
yeah.
brand, major brand, and they're an Austrian brand.
I mean, if you're into
Um,
crystal, that is
Swarovski's the yeah,
that's
yeah.
it. Yeah.
They have a dinner cruise. The boat is a Swarovski dinner boat. Basically, it's all Swarovski crystal inside. It's super high end and elegant, and it's in Linz. And I think it was one of the boats that are docked.
Is that is
Um,
that a common one, or is it just once a
yeah,
year?
it's no, it's common. It's
I have to
it's
look
not
into that. I
like
wouldn't mind doing that.
it's not weekly or anything, but it's pretty
Yeah,
regular
but I mean,
in
we could.
Linz.
Your mom and I could come to town, visit you, and go on a
Yeah,
picnic.
and then across the river
I would
was
hope the
also
food
Pat
is fantastic. I hope.
is is a basically a floating bar. It's this old riverboat that is just sits docked there, and it's a bar.
Oh, over by
And that was
your
packed.
side of the river where you
Yeah,
sit and
yeah,
have
in
a
the
cigar
Ufar,
by the
yeah, in
pizza
the
Italian place.
Ufar area.
Yeah.
There's a floating bar. That was also packed and that has a good view of the backside, but you can see a lot. But yeah, it's a pretty epic event, mainly because the barge aspect. Like, yeah, it's an opera, it's Cirque du Soleil, but the fact that they do it on barges on a river is absurd.
Yeah.
Like in my opinion, the scale of it,
I
it's
didn't. I knew they
huge.
were on barges, but I didn't know they moved.
Yeah,
which
they
that's
move
the
and
other
they like
thing.
synchronize. Like the one will turn on, come in, do its whole thing, and then turn off, and then the next one will come in and they synchronize, they float, they go back and forth, and yeah, it's and sometimes all together, and then other times, and each one has like you know, um, uh, like elements like structures on them that they build throughout the week, and the people are like one of them had like that I saw last night had like a had a opera like a not an opera but a um like a
Play.
rows of singers in this like
Oh,
round kind of stage
like a
that was really
choir.
high. Yeah, a
Oh.
choir that was like it was like round and there's also like fire around them. It's just it's crazy.
See,
And it's a
that's
crazy
actually
event.
something I would like to do. Just, I like
It's
something
not
like
something you
James
would
Watt.
travel that way far from like California for, but like if you could
Yeah, I
come down
would.
from
Yeah,
like
I mean, if I timed it with other things. Yeah,
yeah, it's not
and you
it's
know, for all the Americans traveling in Europe, I think that would be a phenomenal thing. You know, going to like a religious festival
yeah,
or
yeah, it's a
parade
very
in
unique
Italy and
thing.
doing that, and then you had the other event. I don't know if you're ready to just Ars Electronica. You
Yeah,
did
yeah,
it
Ars
last year.
Electronica.
They're well known for that if you're into that. So
Yeah, that's a big international electronics and art festival. It was last year it was at the University JKU. This year it was at the Posthof,
go
which is this
Astros.
like postal building by the Hoppenhof, the train station, and other areas around town. But that was the main area.
So
But yeah, it's
Linz has got kind of three major events during their year. They have uh, the Sound Cloud, the Klangen Volga,
Volta.
Ars Electronica, and then that global street festival that was like a month ago, right?
Yeah, it's
Where all the
Street
street
Performer
performers come
Festival.
from around the world
I
in
wouldn't
for
say
this.
they're like all major events, but yeah, they're yearly
I mean,
events.
they bring in
I guess
an
they're
additional 150,000
yeah, there's some
people.
of the biggest events in Linz each year. You also have like the
The
fall
music.
festival and the spring festival.
Isn't that more locals
Um,
though? Not really for
yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
mean, they're just like big carnivals, basically.
bands
You
and
obviously have the Christmas markets.
yeah. Well, that's a
But those are
traditional thing
pretty.
throughout Austria. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And then like there's the Bubble Days, which is kind of a unique Linz thing. It's like concerts and water
Oh,
events and helicopter rides, just like on the
was that hard rock concert that was down by the river that we remember we
no,
sat
no, not that one.
the different one? Okay.
This is yeah, this is in the like industrial area on like a the riverfront over there. They have like they build out like a festival basically.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. There's some decent events. And events coming to Austria or coming to Linz. JKU Astros home games.
that's
Um,
true.
coming soon.
Exciting.
We'll talk
Hey,
about that later. The sneak
but
peek.
wait,
Nope, nope.
get
We won't say
ready,
anything.
Americans in Linz and Vienna support the Astros. All right,
We
coached by
won't
an
say anything.
American. And
All
but
right. So
wait,
let's start.
other big events which you really got excited about. I don't. You probably don't want to talk about it. Liverpool and Lask.
Yep. Yeah.
So just
I predicted it. I predicted it, and I have proof of predictions. I've called it multiple times.
yeah, you did.
I made it happen.
But to me, I mean, I'm
But
not
yeah,
into it. I'm from afar, but Liverpool, one of the
that's
major clubs of the English Premier League, right,
arguably the biggest club in the world.
is
It's
coming
got
to
it's
Linz
one of the biggest.
for
It's absurd.
yeah.
Yeah, Liverpool coming to Linz,
So
Austria to
and vice
play
versa. So they'll be
football
playing two to
in yeah, in Liverpool as well. But yeah, to have that team come play a European tournament match in Linz, Austria is crazy.
so Carson,
It's
who
mind
is
blowing.
being paid on the Austrian pay scale, has to put
Yeah,
money up for a new apartment, is struggling to buy what they call a
anything,
subscription, season tickets, and then
anything.
tickets for Liverpool. So don't want to go down that track with you. Hopefully, you get the
Yeah,
tickets. So,
yeah. It's
but
I'll say this. It's like Alabama coming to play Sat State basically
well, good
in a way.
transition because big week.
Yeah.
American football has started, and since you're a university coach of American football in Austria, you're probably following it. I think it's much more exciting than the pros. I will say that you've got quite a few players on your team that are Kansas City Mahome fans, and they were upset this past week by Detroit. But that's a pro
Yep.
separate thing. So, what'd you
Yeah, I
think?
think
Did you
the
follow what was going
well,
on?
so there's some big stories in college football. The biggest, in my opinion, and the worst is the conference realignment. We've talked about this personally
Yeah,
at length, but here's the big issue, and I will stand by this. And I absolutely hate what college football has done to college sports in general. Realignment is going to ruin every other college sport that is not football. It is completely ruining college sports, and I will stand by that
yeah.
statement until everything changes. But it comes down to this: travel is horrible for, like, say the most recent one, ACC adding Cal and Stanford,
Which is
great
stupid.
academic
Yeah,
schools.
they say it's a great move because of the academics. Come on, man.
It,
That's a big joke.
yeah, yeah, but when you talk sports, I
Yeah,
mean,
there
those
is no
two teams will have
academics.
to travel to the East Coast for every sport, and like think of the how hard that is going to be for a college
Well,
student
not only that,
alongside alongside the Ritters of a Stanford and a Cal education, because you got to think most of the Cal and Stanford athletes are not going pro; they're
and
there to get an education.
as many of them are not on scholarship. And the other thing is, you talk about the other sports. Basically, baseball at Cal, which was, or people call the queen of the UC system in California, they were gone 3 or 4 years ago, and I think some private donors came in and saved the program. I guarantee you, Cal baseball is gone with this realignment.
It's gonna be a struggle. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gonna
So,
be an absolute struggle.
major sport
And
like that, the sport of America, baseball, football, and basketball, but baseball is I think, going to be suffering
football will be fine.
because
Basketball and
it's a
baseball are
revenue
going to be
generator.
suffer. Yeah,
I think
basketball and baseball will
basketball should be
suffer.
okay. I think they probably break even, but baseball
They'll
is
be
gone.
fine.
You
Yeah,
know,
and then you think, but and it's crazy because you think Cal and Stanford, they're not known for those three sports. Like baseball,
no
they're decent in, but they're known for the other sports where they're national championship winners in
rugby.
a lot of other sports.
I
Yeah,
think they had the
rugby.
number one rugby
Yeah,
team.
Cal's a great rugby program.
Say goodbye to
You have
that.
like water polo, gymnastics, softball. Like there's so many other programs that
Which
like
has to
these
blow away the Austrian
swimming.
kids on your team because your new the Austrian Collegiate Sports League has two sports: basketball
Three,
and now
yeah, two
football.
sports. But
What's the third?
well, no, I
Oh, men's and women's.
men's. We also have cheer dance as well, but it's not really
Oh,
competitive.
don't want to insult any of the cheer dancers in
I mean,
Austria. So
cheerleading is
yeah,
the most dangerous sport.
okay, well, that's a whole different episode. But yeah, I agree with you. I think it's comical, sad, and I heard a lot of the announcers saying it's going to be great. Those criticizing it don't know what they're talking about, but it all comes down to money, and I think it might have.
Yeah, it's
I,
pure money,
I don't know,
and
but
it's destroying rivalries too.
well,
Like
yeah,
there's
and
some
there was the
rivalries.
tradition of the quote I still call it the Pac-10, and now it'll be the Pac 2 or 4, and this.
There's nothing left.
Yeah, and this last season of the Pac-12, they're actually doing fairly well. What was the score of the Cal game yesterday?
Well, they were the only team that went undefeated in week one.
Yeah,
The only conference that went undefeated in week
in
one.
week
Like every
one.
Pac-12 team was undefeated at
But I
after
watched
week
some of the
one.
Cal game, and I was surprised. Quite frankly, I'm
Yeah,
not a big Cal fan. I went still undefeated. UCSB, Gauchos, go Gauchos. And again,
we
kind
grew
of
up USC fans, so
yeah, we grew up at SC. Killed. I think in the second half, the second and third string was in
well, yeah. SC played
Stanford.
Caleb. Yeah, he only played for the first half, and he dropped 4 touchdowns. So yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't much of a
So
game.
I mean, SC historically, if you've ever been on the campus, been to Heisman Hall, I mean, that in the Pac-10 was the dominant football program back in the day.
Yeah, and you got to think too. Like think of the Rose Bowl, right? Rose Bowl was where
Yes, that was
the
the premier
Midwest
bowl game.
the Midwest met the West. They didn't
Yes,
meet them during the regular season because they met in the Rose Bowl, and the champions of those conferences. played in the Rose Bowl, and there
That's
was a
where you. That's
reason.
where I gained my hate of Woody Hayes in Ohio State. But think about the tradition of people from Ohio or any, in the Midwest coming to
Iowa,
Pasadena, Iowa
Wisconsin.
for the Rose Bowl, the parade, the hype of that game. That is and was, well, I can't say is anymore. Rose Bowl was the premier bowl game. I don't care what anybody says.
Now they just play each other in
Yeah.
conference. It's
Well,
boring.
and that's the other thing is some guy was saying he wants one big conference and you play your regional teams and then you have a big playoff. So
Yeah,
it just takes
it it's
away.
it just it should be regional, and that's simply what it is. It needs to go back to regionality. There's plenty of good videos on how to split it regionally. It just needs to go back to the West, the Midwest, the South, the mid South, the Oklahoma, Texas. There's plenty of teams in Texas. Oklahoma, Texas.
That's football
Yeah, like
country. Yeah.
that area. The northern Midwest, the southern Midwest, the Southeast, the Atlantic coast, like the Mid Atlantic and Northeast, kind of combined in the ACC. Like in the West, like, and it just needs to go back to that way, and teams need to stay regionally, and it's not just a football decision. Like them,
Yeah.
they've made it just a football decision, and it's just not,
God,
and it's purely about the money.
who was it? There was a quarterback that asked his professor
The
for
Duke
the
quarterback,
Duke. Wow, ooh, I hate Duke. So
yeah,
yeah, I'm glad he
yeah, we
got
don't talk
denied.
about Duke.
Yeah, just so you know,
Um,
Duke had a big game.
they beat Clemson,
Yeah, Clemson, who was the
easily.
ACC powerhouse for a while. Poor Dabo, but Duke beat him, and the quarterback asked his professor for an extension on a paper that needed to be submitted by midnight. And kudos to the professor who responded on social media that his lineman actually got it in early, and so he is not giving him an extension. I love that, but that just shows, you know, a few years from now, Cal will be out playing Clemson or on the East Coast and has a paper due or even needs to
Boston
study or
College,
Boston. Yeah, it's going to be crazy. So,
yeah,
um,
absurd.
so you said the realignment was the big story, but I think that's been the big story for a couple of weeks now. But this
Yeah,
week, I
it's an
think
ongoing
the big,
recent.
the two big stories were Alabama, Texas, and then of course your main man Prime in
Coach
Colorado, Coach Prime.
Prime time in Colorado.
So I don't, I doubt
A
it's a
shi
story there.
a paradigm shift in the way college football teams are built potentially is what's happening, with how Coach Prime has built that team with transfers and just a different mentality. And it's so far it's working, but the test comes not next week when they play Colorado State. That'll be a breeze. Colorado State's nothing to them, but they go to Oregon, who has looked very good. He just won at Texas Tech, I
Mm-hmm.
believe, in a trap game, and then they get USC at home in Colorado, and
Wow,
that
that's
those will be two defining games. And if they can win one of them, that'll be good. If yeah, if they win two of them, they're going to the national title game. I don't think they'll win either of them, to be honest.
I think
But
I think they
prime
might
time will
beat
do.
Oregon. I don't know
Well,
about
that
SC, but
if
SC
it
has
was
always disappointed me. But also SC has they were kind of
SC's,
where Colorado is now when what's his name came out from Oklahoma, their coach.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But no, that USC wasn't 1-11 though. But the thing that could happen. So the problem with the Oregon game is it's at Oregon. If it was in Colorado, maybe. I don't see them winning in Oregon. USC, the problem, the what could decide that game is USC's defense. If USC's defense does anything, USC will win that game probably. Um, but Colorado has some just absolute playmakers, and it could come down to the whoever you know the two Heisman Trophy candidates coming out of the game, or the three potentially with Travis Hunter and Shador Sanders and Caleb, and um,
Yeah, was it
those three.
has there ever been a back to back Heisman Trophy winner?
Timmy Teebs,
No, he wasn't back to back.
wasn't he bat to bat?
No, I don't think so. Um, I don't know. Look it
It's
up.
either Tim Tebow or
I think there's
Baker
only
because he
been
won.
one.
Archie Griffin.
Arch Griffin. That's right. So you know, I don't know all the controversy with Coach Pride. I think he's doing great. I think it's fun. You know, Colorado needed something, and he was it. So yeah, it's changed the way you build
Wait,
a
T.
team.
Sorry, it's white on my face. Is
You're looking it up.
um yeah, I'm looking it up. Tebow won. I thought he won twice. No, he just won his
Yeah,
freshman
but I was
year,
thinking back to back too.
sophomore year.
Yeah, but the other big
Um,
event was the Alabama Texas game.
yeah,
Your buddy
I didn't watch that
Sarkisian.
game.
That's the
I
game I
saw that.
watched. And
Well, did you see Pat McAfee and Mister Alright on the sideline or on the end zone
no,
in that
because
show?
what I discovered with that we could have four games on one screen at one time. So we watched a,
Yeah,
which sounds probably crazy to the guys on your team that people do that, but in the U.S.
I
people do.
mean
It's pretty
NFL
common.
Red Zone
Yeah,
is what it's
yeah.
on right now.
So
Um,
glad to see Alabama lose. Glad to see Texas finally step up. Um,
Coming back to life, yeah,
yeah,
it'll be they're a legit team this year finally.
but
Um, and it was cool that there was one deep touchdown when Uriers, the Texas quarterback, threw,
yeah, they
and
fantastic passing
but
game.
he threw that touchdown ball and it the receiver scored right in front of Pat McAfee and Matthew McConaughey
Oh,
while they
really?
were live,
Oh,
and
good.
they were like live cast.
I'll have to go back and look
It's
at
a
that. I didn't
it's a
see that.
great clip,
Uh,
McConaughey's like horns up, let's go, and he's just like all right,
yeah,
all right, all right.
that's
Yeah, it's
funny.
and McAfee's there, and yeah, the dude like scores literally right in front of them,
Yeah.
and it's a great clip. Yeah, it looks like Texas Longhorns are back. Colorado looks legit. Surprising everyone this far.
SC. Also,
SC looks legit, but
App State and UNC. I was rooting all the
it
way
was a
for
good
App
game.
State, but it went down to
Yeah,
the
App State
final.
always brings the heat to
Yeah,
everyone, so
yeah. So
never count App State out.
for
Um,
those of you, the it's only the second week, and it was kind of weird in that a lot of these games are like give me's. It's just a money grab where team, like Washington ranked eighth is playing Tulsa, those kind of, or Michigan playing
that's
UNLV.
Tulsa's not a bad team.
Yeah, but well, okay. How about Michigan, UNLV?
Yeah.
What
Well,
was it?
they
35-7.
literally
Yeah,
pay those teams to
it
come
get
play
what?
there.
Yeah, it puts money into the budget. So for that
Yeah,
smaller team,
and I mean Washington has a Heisman candidate. Michael Penix Jr. has
yeah.
looked legit.
Hey, Washington
And then
State beat Wisconsin.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there you go.
Interesting. I didn't see that game. Um, there was another game. Oh yeah. Um, Shout out to a sad start to the season so far.
Oh,
With a
you're
horrible game day. Virginia Tech lost in an 8-hour barn burner of a game, 24-17.
wait. It wasn't
Um,
a barn burn because the barn couldn't burn.
yeah, nothing
It was a
happened.
massive
It's
rainstorm.
massive rainstorm. It literally flooded in Plattsburgh. I watched some videos.
Well,
Never seen that much rain.
yeah, it was a
And I
river
lived
in the
there off and
streets.
on for 8 years. And I never seen that much rain. South Main Street flooded. Many neighborhoods flooded. I sent you a video of them playing football in
Football
a
in the street.
backyard and
Uh,
over knee deep
Yeah,
water.
water was up past their knees, so
That's
pretty wild.
craziness. Waterfalls in Lane Stadium, and was crazy because they delayed the start of the game because there was lightning. They had to clear everyone out of the stands too. All the fans had to go down like underneath because there was lightning like real close. Then they started the game and Purdue just was destroying us 7-0. So it was actually a good thing to kind of pause. Then it paused for like hours, like
Like
four
8 hours.
hours.
It seemed longer.
Well, it paused. Well, the delay was like 4 hours. Then the game was like it felt like 8 hours
Yeah.
long because of how miserable of a game it was. I didn't watch it because it was early in the morning and we looked terrible anyway. Um, but yeah, it was just miserable. They need to replace the quarterback because backup QB came in. Saw a couple highlights. He didn't look too bad. and needs something different. Grant
Virginia Tech seems
Wells,
to always struggle in recent years with their quarterbacks and their
yeah,
kicking game. I don't know what the kicking
Grant
game is
Wells,
like.
just not it. He's had his time, and he's just not doing anything. So they need to go to the next guy up. His last name is Jerome, I think. He had a run and he lowered his shoulder on a dude, and is pretty legit. So they just need a change. They need a change. He used QB last season. It was horrible, and just not much changing this year. Um, but yeah, lost to Purdue. That was a tough one. That was tough. And
But
then yeah,
and with realignment, I just want to mention our local, and since Daniel, former QB for Sac State, was on the podcast a while back, Sac State did beat Texas A&M of Commerce, which I have no idea where that is at, 34-6. I think it was over in the first half. But kind of a connection. One of your players was in the U.S., attended a definitely a blowout, LSU against Grambling State. It was a 72-10 score. Uh, and I think you said he
yeah.
did kind of send out a tweet to all of your
Sent
players.
sent a couple photos back to our group chat, but yeah, it's, I think the first guy on our team to experience the college football life, and definitely a hell of an experience in Death Valley or whatever they Hydro Stadium down
Yeah,
there.
got to
Um,
tailgate, I'm sure, so you'll have some
even if
stories.
yeah, even if it is Grambling, like it's still 100,000 people in a stadium. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Um, no place like it in Europe. So um,
Yeah, in the
but
U.S., they tailgate ahead of a game and get kind of drunk and loose before the game. Uh, for your college teams, they wait. Well, the fans do it during the game,
club
and then they go
after.
clubbing after. So
Yeah, I think that's part of it because you
interesting.
can't do it during the game. It was funny because they were
Well,
bringing
before the
that up.
game, because you can do it during the game because you
Well,
have
no,
beer
I'm saying
gardens.
you can do it here during
Oh,
the game.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and then it's funny you bring that up too because I was watching the Iowa State game yesterday. They were talking. There was like 25,000 people just
Outside.
in the parking lots tailgating,
I was going to mention
not
that too.
going to the game. And then the last thing I'll bring up college football wise, um, I think you should be looking forward to a hell of a Causeway Classic this year.
Yeah, because our local teams, Big Sky, which that's
Sat
where it's
State
going to be here.
Davis.
Sac State, and UC Davis um, will be playing in what's called the Causeway Classic, and usually Sac
Both,
State. And this year, both are looking very tough. I mean,
yeah, both are
past
ranked.
Montana. But what was interesting is, yeah, they put up a graphic during some game yesterday about the three longest winning streaks or most games won at home, and Sac State was up there.
Interesting. It was
Yeah,
probably like 10 or something, but
no, it was in the 20s of regular season wins or something. I can't remember exactly what it was. And for those of you, the former Sac State coach moved on to Stanford, so he didn't do too well yesterday against SC, but Sac State did very well. So
yep.
with that,
So yeah, one day here. Hot start to the college football season. We hope you stay with us through it. We'll continue to talk about the greatest sport in the world,
wow, coming
college,
from a guy
specifically
that's embraced
college football.
European soccer now and played
I
baseball
mean, there's not an
and played basketball.
experience.
So
There's, let me rephrase: the greatest experiential sport in the world.
yeah, and
There's nothing like a college football game,
one that
a
I
good college
am,
football game.
one of your guys or the head of the ACSL, I still have a hard time saying that, said he was kind of fascinated that, or he found it interesting that I was fascinated with the Austrian football. But for me, it's like this country in Europe that's known for alpine skiing, and just
Classical
classical
music.
music, wine, women, and song has somewhat embraced American football. You're a part of that. I brought that up in the past, and they seem to be enjoying it. And even
Rumor
professionally, Vienna has the number one professional team.
rumors of another professional Austrian team coming as well.
God, I just can't imagine that. What city would that be in? It's
Vienna,
Vienna, another, huh?
the team that has continued to win the Vienna or the Austrian football league, the Danube Dragons.
What do you mean they're coming to? So they already exist.
Yeah, but the rumor is
Move
they're
up.
looking to go to the ELF. Yeah,
So
become the
there would
third
be the
highest NI
Dragons
league
and the Vikings, both of the
in Vienna
in
in the
Vienna.
ELF,
Have you
and
been
then
to a
the
Vikings game yet?
yeah, I have. They have playoffs coming up.
Are you gonna go?
Um, I'm thinking about it. Yeah,
Yeah. All
because
right.
it's at the Generale Arena in Vienna. So it should be good. I think they'll have like almost 10K fans or something.
Well, and hopefully, we'll maybe have a little podcast or at least some comments in about a month after being at the Austrian national soccer team against Belgium. Right.
Yeah, that's coming up. Yeah,
That's hopefully we
coming
can
up
get
soon.
tickets for that. So, all right.
So, with that, Linda here. Thanks for listening to another episode of the At Wits End podcast. And again, check out our social medias: Facebook, YouTube,
Choose.
TikTok. We'll sign out. Bye now.